I wanted to chat about a few things today, as it sounds like there are, two camps. This talk won't be about politics because you don't want to get in a debate with a Frenchman. But essentially, you have, that camp over there who thinks that it's going to be a robopocalypse, right? All the jobs are going to disappear, and the other one that thinks there is an opportunity. And to be frank and to be fair, the one on the left up there is actually right. This happened in the past. Automation led to many jobs disappearing, and actually there was a movement called the Luddites movement, which you probably have heard of back in the 18th and 19th century, which decided someday to revolt and start to destroy most of the wool equipment in Britain in particular. Just a fun fact, the British Army had as many people fighting the Luddites as it has fighting Napoleon. And I can only wish, they got, that movement was bigger, but it happened, unfortunately. And history, tells us quite a few things about automation. And it's very important to realize that those structural changes have already appeared in the past with, service climbing up and agriculture coming down, and some essential things happening also at home, which literally liberated, generations of people. And this is, technically you could debate what is a robot and what is automation, but this is a great piece of technology which liberated many people. And actually, it's kind of a robot that stole a job, and a very dull, dirty, and dangerous one, in this case a very dull one, which is washing by hand out there. If you have never seen this tech talk from Hans Rosling, a Swedish person, it's one of the all-time favorite at TED. Just go check it out at some point and see what is the magic washing machine has done out there, essentially to liberate women into having more time to do many other things. This is a quote from Helen Fielding, whom is the writer of Bridget Jones, that I'm sure some of you have read or seen the movie out there, that easing the double day, enabling women to study, work and more is one of the benefits of actually washing machines and technology. And so it's kind of a new paradigm if you start thinking about automation in those terms. And I just wanted to spend the next few minutes with you to show you really the depth and breadth of automation and give you some ideas about what's going to happen out there, and turn essentially the narrative to what if machines can create jobs. And well, again, they've already did, even in industrial environments or service industrial environment. You can see here, of course, the good old, washing clothing industry, as well as new industries emerging out of nowhere. This one in the gardening. And at the moment, the people have been using it for themselves, or they've built a service on top of it. But as you know, also, all those little tools out there are getting more autonomous and filled up with technologies. And so it's interesting to think through this for a second, as you should see, and we should, I think, see those machines that are sometimes fully autonomous and can run around and do their job as entire business in a box type of thing, that instead of replacing the lawnmower guy, well, what if the lawnmower guy would be actually educated enough to purchase one of those robots, which is not that expensive, and then build autonomous fleets running around gardens and building jobs which are also very local. We've seen that before, and that story before, with other types of vacuum things out there. And that transition essentially, is in full swing. This is a company called AvidBots out there, which is doing industrial cleaning into really large surfaces. They are into major airports around the world, and people will see them as, hey, they're taking jobs. But what if in the future we could change it to, something that people can just purchase and deploy out there? Automation outside is in full swing. You've seen, robot vehicles. And I was chatting the other day with the founder of Balio, which is a public company doing forklifts. And it was pretty interesting to see them say that when there was just a power outage, they just didn't want to do the jobs that robots used to do. This is self-driving forklift here. And so the minds of people are already changing about how to use robotics things. You've seen it through ATMs, you've seen it through warehouse picking. They are just about everywhere on the planet. They are cooking. They are making pizzas. This is Zoom Pizza in the city that makes pizzas out of a truck. There are robot stores, and you've seen Amazon, of course. Robot baristas, you probably have seen some of them run here. And the future is more personalized. This is a company called Unspun, which is doing 3D weaving. So it's kind of a digital loom, or it's more distributed, like Knitterate, which literally prints garments for you on the fly. And it's already there. Thousands of robots, millions of robots. There is no coming back from it. There are already dark factories around the planet building things for us. And this story you might have seen or not seen, but it's a pretty interesting one. It's in Japan, and it's about waiters, servicing people, which is nothing really new in the world of robotics and kind of a gimmick, but reminding me of a story made by Xiajia. For those who don't know that there are Chinese sci-fi writers, I would suggest to read this one. It's very interesting, called Invisible Planets. And it's about Tong Tong Summer, which had essentially her grandfather at home, and he was pretty old, and he needed some support. So they brought in a robot that was playing Chinese chess with him and talking in a very old dialect as well. And it's actually reminiscent to something else which is called Qbots, if you ever got there. But what he found out in that story is that actually inside of that robot was a disabled control waiter, which is actually happening in reality over there in Japan. And you probably have heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge, and this is actually enabling people that have disabilities and or are that old to actually control robots as well. So it's really about the future of automation is also about aging. This is Japan happening. And since we only have two pathways already, it's interesting to think that while the future of automation is going to help us as children and adults, as we're aging, actually automation is going to help us become more autonomous as well. And so the benefits are quite obvious for jobs, but they're also obvious to making us more superhuman on one side and more human on the other. Thank you very much.